it is April 15th, tax day. For some people, it's time to make some important financial decisions.
And it can be a windfall for or a wake-up call. You may be able to use your tax refund to pay back tax debt and avoid or choose the best bankruptcy path.
We're here with David Anderson, an attorney who specializes in bankruptcy, to talk about some options available to people today. And I know that tax day, it's kind of that deadline that we all think about, but really you're talking about helping to walk people through when they have to make really what are some difficult choices when it comes to their finances.
Well, usually when you think about tax day, you don't think about bankruptcy, but as a bankruptcy lawyer, I do, of course. Well, there's kind of two flip sides. One is if you get a refund and you have other debts, what do you do with that refund? And sometimes the refund is probably not enough. If you're on the verge of bankruptcy and you have a mountain of debt and the light at the end of the tunnel is way far away, the tax refund typically is not enough to take care of the situation. So what people do is, I find, they tend to pay a little bit of the debt off, and then they still have that mountain of debt when they could have used it in a different way, maybe to pay attorney's fees, because it does cost to file bankruptcy. It's usually $1,000 or $2,000 or something like that. The flip side, though, is if they owe taxes, what do you do? Typically, you can't just discharge taxes unless they're old. But if it's a recent tax debt, you can do a no interest, no penalty payment plan under Chapter 13, and that's a great advantage.
So as people are mulling over and they're in this crisis and they're trying to decide, should I file for bankruptcy, shouldn't I? I mean, there's got to be some real specifics that can guide people along.
Well, we offer a free consultation, so the worst thing you can do is try to figure out something on your own when you really don't see a good way out. Now, bankruptcy certainly isn't for everyone that has debt. A lot of people have debt. It's under control. They can see that light at the end of the tunnel. Things are going steadily. But if all you can do is pay the interest and you don't see a way out for many years down the road, get a consultation. Bankruptcy can be the best answer.
And we were talking about how, why would you file and some of the things that you can protect.
Sure. Well, if you don't file for bankruptcy, they can seize your car, they can put a lien on your home and force a sale perhaps, seize your other assets like your bank accounts or other assets, and even garnish your wages. The IRS can also do the same thing. So a payment plan might be good if you owe taxes, or if you have other debt, maybe Chapter 7, which is no payment plan.
Okay, so let's talk about the different types of bankruptcies. There really are two main ones that consumers would deal with.
Chapter 7 and Chapter 13.
Let's talk about Chapter 13, because really there are specific protections that are offered through Chapter 13.
There's protections for either chapter, but Chapter 13 is good for tax debt, since we're talking about that today, because you can do a no interest, no penalty payment plan. It also includes other debts, usually at less than what you owe. So there's debt forgiveness in that, and it's a debt reorganization. You can pay less than you owe on a lot of debts in Chapter 13. You can also do a catch-up plan if you're behind on your house payment. You can save your car, you can save your other assets, and you can pay a lot of debt with no interest, no penalty, pay the IRS with no interest, no penalty, pay other debts at less than what you owe even.
So these are the kinds of things you need to be proactive about, and don't wait till it gets too deep, because then tell us about Chapter 7.
Chapter 7 is for someone who cannot afford a payment plan. Tax debts are generally not discharged in Chapter 7 unless they're old. They have to be more than 3 years past due, and you have to have filed your tax returns back in those other years. For recent tax debts, you usually have to pay those either in a Chapter 13 or after your Chapter 7. But normally people file a Chapter 7 because they have other unsecured debt. Things like credit cards, medical bills, bills and collections, repossessions, or they're losing their house and they can't afford the house payment and they don't want to owe money on it, so they file a Chapter 7. A lot of reasons to file Chapter 7. It's really the most common chapter that people file.
You know, David, I'm often struck by sometimes the idea that people think that maybe there can be a quick fix to this, and it can be so simple, and they may be tempted to go to some other kind of so-called expert other than an attorney. There definitely is a huge advantage and level of protection that having an attorney, especially somebody like you who specializes in this, can really provide. This is an important consideration to make.
It's a good point. A lot of people go to a 1-800 number for an out-of-state service, and they get a lot of promises, and they even send a lot of money. And if it's not bankruptcy, there's no legal way to force those creditors to take less than what is owed. Bankruptcy is the only way to force creditors to take less than what is owed, and in some cases pay nothing and get complete forgiveness, discharge of debt. Bankruptcy is the only way to do it. And frankly, it is a quick fix for a lot of people. There are many documents, many transactions to go through, many papers to prepare, and that's why an attorney is the best idea to file bankruptcy.
And I gotta believe that, I mean, this is a scary situation for anybody, for any family and any individual who's like, what do I do? And you said that at the beginning, you do offer free consultation. So if you're in that situation, it can't hurt. Get the information firsthand and at least set the path.
It can't hurt to get the information. But it's kind of like going to the dentist. If you don't go, things tend to get worse. And it's kind of a scary thing, but if you're going to a good professional, you're going to get it taken care of.
That's right. I think a good professional, someone who specializes, and definitely someone who is local here and connected to our own community. Thank you so much. And again, we'll have the information on our website. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.